The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences. I know we're usually talking about kids' cartoons and stuff, but there's going to be naughty language. Anyway, listener discretion is advised. Was it or was it not the episode where the dog died?
It was not the episode.
Which one was it?
It's the one with the robot mafia.
Well, which one? There's a couple of those.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, a proud member of the Geekly Grind Podcast Network.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. My name is JD, and I've got two special boys with me today, Dustin and Phil.
Hi.
Hello.
And I don't know if anyone else is aware, but the Powerpuff Girls movie specifically celebrated its 20th anniversary a couple weeks ago.
Oh, my lordy bagordy.
If you want to just feel real old. But yeah, so now that the 20th anniversary is swung around, figure why not take a look back at it. Feels like a good time to do that. So, yeah, so if you can remember to the yesteryear of 2002, seemed like the Powerpuff Girls was in its like peak of popularity, and so Cartoon Network allowed Craig McCracken and his crazy crew of people to make a theatrical prequel to the Powerpuff Girls in a movie that I feel like holds up pretty well from what I remember, and but did not seem to do very well and pretty much tanked Cartoon Network from ever doing movies again. So
yeah, I mean, it makes sense if your like most popular show you've ever made gets a movie and it bombs so hard. I can totally get not doing anymore.
Well, theatrical movie anyway until Aqua Teen.
Yeah.
And then we all saw how that went.
Yeah, exactly.
That movie's great.
Love it.
Well, so's this one, so let's talk about it.
Yeah. The Aqua Teens are in this movie as well.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Are they?
Yeah, there's a cameo. There's like a news broadcast talking about the destruction in the town and the big destruction of the town scene. And in the background, you can see the Aqua Teen.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and also on that note, the gorillas are seen on a newspaper in one scene.
Yeah. All right, I think that covers it. This was a pretty good podcast.
So I guess, yeah. So I guess to start us off, like, what are your guys' memory from, like, did you guys, like, see this when it came out as a kid, or did you, like, see it later in life? Like, what is your relationship with this movie?
Okay, well, from what I remember, I used to watch this show and Ed, Edd and Eddy, like, it was like, those were, like, my two big shows back then, and watching this show is more, like, slightly embarrassing, because it's like, why are you watching a show called Powerpuff Girls? Well, it's just like, well, it's very violent and it's funny. For one. So there was a movie coming out, and I was like, you know what, I gotta see this. I mean, how often do you get to say, I saw Powerpuff Girls in theaters? So I had my parents drive me to the theater. I paid for my ticket. I went in by myself, watched it, and had a good time.
Nice. For me, I basically the same. I was a fan of the show. I was a big fan of lots of Cartoon Network shows. And luckily, I had a friend who was also into all these Cartoon Network shows, so we both went to see the movie in theaters. It was great.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like I was missing out because I was not fortunate enough to go see this movie in theaters, even though I did see the marketing for it. First time I saw this was the first time they aired it on television, like a year or two after the fact.
Wow.
Yeah. If you want to date myself even further, I specifically remember when the night that it aired, I recorded it on a VHS tape, kids, if you remember what that is, for my little sister who lived with my mom, and they did not have cable and she wanted to see it. So I'm like, okay, I will record this movie for her on a VHS tape. I probably have that tape somewhere in a box. But yeah, so, I mean, I kind of hold this up, at least production wise. I hold this movie up in the same way I hold up the Rugrats movie, in the sense that, like, if you're going to take a television cartoon and translate it into a theatrical movie, at least aesthetically, this is how you do it. You make it look enough like the TV show, but like very clearly it has a lot more budget behind it.
This movie looks gorgeous. I love how this movie looks.
And even just for even keeping all the very simplistic character design, like a lot of the action sequences are more well choreographed. A lot of the environments and the effects are a lot are a lot better. I mean, I could just point to the scene in the junkyard where they meet the Gang Green game for the first time, and it's raining. There's a lot of dynamic poses. The rain effects are really good. It's just like and like the entire fight at the end with the army of monkeys, like just the effects alone is like, okay, this is definitely a movie version of this TV show, and like you could definitely tell how much like passion they put into making this like worth seeing, and making it look way better than the show does.
Yeah, as you pointed out, how like it looks slightly different from the actual show. Like I like how like all the villain cameos, like Fuzzy Lumpkins, Green Game, etc. They have like a more deranged look, like more threatening look for the movie. But they have like really cool designs compared to the show versions. Because like Fuzzy Lumpkins is like in the first like couple of minutes of the movie holding up a grocery store, but he's like all like instead of looking like more rounded, he's like all spiked and his eyes are like swirly and he has like really sharp teeth.
He's scary.
He's scary, yeah. But like the Gang Green game, they look really cool in that scene.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can just see like I can see that shot of the girls looking up at them, and like rain is just dripping off all the gang members, and like the lightning's flashing in the background, like that. Like I don't know what that shot specifically has been like burned into my head.
It's great. It's so good. It's interesting that the seasons that would come after the movie, they kind of try to look similar to the movie, but not really. Like Fuzzy Lumpkins definitely doesn't. So it's interesting to go into this movie and kind of see, I guess, just how this does it. Since I think after the movie, Craig left the show, so the character redesigns. Yeah,
Chris Savino took over, and yeah, well, just pointing that out, he took over.
Yeah,
the tone sort of looked like the movie, but not quite. Like Dustin was saying,
obviously Fuzzy Lumpkins doesn't look as good as he looks in the movie. He looks like garbage. But so this movie is a cool way to see like the pure essence of, okay, let's take this show and see how it would look in a big budget movie.
Right. And so I don't remember if you guys remember, is the movie the first time, is that when they switched over to digital, or had they switched to digital before?
I think this was the first time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the Chris Savino seasons were digital as well.
Right.
Yes.
Because I distinctly remember like that switch from like Hanna-Barbera cell drawn to like it's a night and day difference, not just because it's going from hand drawn to digital, but just like the designs changed just like ever so slightly. That is noticeable.
Yeah, everything was a lot brighter in the newer seasons after the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though the movie, like a lot of scenes, like used a lot of really darker colors for everything.
I really like the backgrounds for this movie too. I think the one that comes to mind first is when the girls in Mojo are on top of the volcano, and Mojo's going to get them to build his volcano layer. It just looks really nice, like the colors and such.
Yeah. Kind of related. So this movie, like we said, serves as like a prequel to the entire show. So every single episode starts with like, this is how the Powerpuff Girls were made. But you actually get to see the act like completely played out in this movie. You see the professor making them.
There was actually an episode in the original series that showed that Mojo accidentally helped him, and that it shows this like in the first couple minutes of the movie, like more exactly how it happened without like the backstory of them telling it.
Right. And then like the entire movie is just like them trying to prove themselves to the town that they can be heroes, even though they have to kind of learn how to be a little more responsible because, obviously the professor sends them out to be heroes. But the first time they're let loose in Townsville and just the destruction that follows, goddamn.
Yeah, he wanted them to be normal girls, but they just seem to have superpowers. So he wanted them to be like have it under control rather than go and save the world.
Right. But it's just interesting, getting this kind of origin about like, okay, this is like you get more in depth. They have this entire backstory with Mojo and obviously why he's like their number one villain, and you get to see that initially that the town hated them just because they were just like these destructive monsters, no better than the monsters that attack the town.
Yeah.
And to the point where I actually watching this, I got a little depressed watching this movie, just like how spiteful everybody is, and they like banish them to the moon.
Oh yeah, that moon scene is something else because it's like there's no music; it's just them talking.
Yeah,
and the only colors are their colors. The rest of it's all in black and white.
Yeah,
Mitch Mitchelson is in this movie.
Is he?
He sure is.
Yeah, he's like, hey, let's play hopscotch.
Good old Mitch.
Oh no, he was one of the ones playing tag. That's it.
Yeah, he's like, let's play tag.
Let's play tag.
And then that comes back at the end of the movie.
Yeah, it's interesting that this movie goes for such a first it's kind of goofy with like the girls at home, and then like you said, it kind of turns more somber with everyone hating the girls, and then the last like third of the movie is like nonstop violence. It's a weirdly I could see someone being I could see the movie being a little off-putting to some people.
Yeah, there's a few scenes that sort of just drag out a bit, and you're just like, all right, come on.
But I mean, like once it hits that final segment where Mojo's made all of his monkey brethren and he's turned into the giant mutant.
Oh yeah, I love that design too.
It's so good.
Like giant Mojo is A+ design, but like it is just balls to the wall for that entire like last 20 minutes.
Yeah, monkey violence.
I think Craig said one of the reviews for the movie called it an orgy of nonstop violence.
Hell yeah.
Well, that's what they were aiming for, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. That I think Craig said in an interview the reason for the movie's tone is because at that point he saw a lot of like advertisements for Powerpuff Girls and Powerpuff Girls products that were like really girly, like makeup kits and stuff. Do you guys remember those Powerpuff Girls ads that were like I don't even know what they were for, but they were like really stylized, and the girls had like lipstick, and they were like going shopping. I wonder if those are the ones he was talking about, because those are the ones that come to mind first, where it's like, what is this?
See, that's what I was bringing up earlier. It's just the fact that this show, they marketed this show to be like, oh, this is for girls. This is how we're going to market it to it. Even though, they were trying to aim for all genders based on, the concept of it all.
Yeah, I mean, I always saw it's an action show that just happens to feature girls as the main characters. Unfortunately, this is in the late 90s where still, like, we had such that gender divide of, like, okay, these shows are for the boys, these shows are for the girls, and these are the elements that you get in those shows.
Yeah. So Craig was saying how that's the reason the movie is so violent. He kind of wanted to reclaim that a little for the movie. But in the same interview, he said he wished he made it a little lighter and goofier.
I honestly, I'm fine with the tone of the movie. Because like you said, like I definitely think that kind of trying to take back that tone that obviously Craig wanted to shoot for initially. And I take that kind of like darker tones as like another step into making it a more theatrical story because it's not a tone that you would normally get in the show.
I agree, yeah. Upping the stakes a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I wouldn't want the show to turn into that, but I think this is a good opportunity for them to kind of play around with that and do something they don't normally do in the show.
But yeah, kind of just speaking back, just a little quick because it's just in my brain about how like Craig McCracken and the creators of the Gorillas just have this like weird relationship. Because I guess originally Craig wanted them to make the ending theme for the movie, but they just didn't have time to do it.
At least they got the references to him in there.
Yeah. And then obviously, as we know now, like years later, Craig and Cartoon Network would like let them use Ace as like a filling member for the Gorillas for a year.
That's awesome.
That's Now that when you say that with the credits music, the credits music, they got like the original, show credit band to sing it. It's like a punk rock version that it's really cool.
I love that version. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd also like to hear what Gorillas would do, but I do like what we got.
Especially 2002 Gorillas. First album Gorillas.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. That's not the first time that Powerpuff Girls has been in Gorillas. On the back of one of their CDs, G sides, 2D is wearing a Mojo Jojo shirt.
That's awesome.
I remember seeing that at Target and being like, "Whoa, that's so cool!"
Yeah, and there was even like, how like they do those fake interviews with them in like books and stuff. They mentioned that Noodle was a fan of that show, also in one of them.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
I love that. Those are the kind of relationships that they were able to make.
Jeremy Snow here, owner and editor-in-chief of The Geekly Grind. I'm interrupting your awesome, regularly scheduled programming to ensure that you know about our Geekly Grind podcast network, of which this show is a treasured member of. If you haven't had a chance to check out our site, you can do so at www.thegeeklygrind.com, and while you're there, check out the other members of our steadily growing podcast family, including the anime-centric Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, discovering new heroes and comic book keepers with Chris and Lance, exploring the vast universe of geekdom with Geeksploration, or of course appreciating animation's finer details with the Ink and Paint Club. Escape your weekly grind at the Geekly Grind.
It's interesting that it's always Powerpuff Girls, because like look at how many Powerpuff Girls things are in like Aqua Teen. Like they have the mall from the pilot, and then in the movie, Meatwad has the Powerpuff Girls parachute.
Well, I'm just wondering if it's just like, everyone loved that show, in that because even like when they did the world premiere tune, Powerpuff Girls was the first pilot they showed.
Yeah, in the world premiere tune-in,
on Space Ghost Coast to Coast, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Powerpuff Girls won.
Yeah.
They should do a Space Ghost movie.
I don't know if Space Ghost Coast to Coast could support a movie.
That's true.
Sure. Well, Aqua Teen could. I'm sure Space Ghost could.
I love the Aqua Teen movie. I could argue that it can't support an hour and a half long movie.
Yeah, well, we need to talk about this movie for now.
Yeah, but I do remember seeing commercials for this movie, but I guess it like really wasn't advertised that well, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe that's part of why it failed as much as it did, because like obviously if you're not getting exposure, people aren't going to know that your movie comes out.
Yeah, I remember one advertisement. It was sort of like a contest they had where, kids could draw the girls or whatever, and they would appear in the movie. So like there's certain scenes where, there's drawings of the girls that are obviously done by kids.
I remember that. Yeah, I think part of the reason why it didn't land is because I think Craig was telling the story about how they were told they were going to market it to adults like that. So a lot of ads for it were on like Adult Swim and stuff. I remember a commercial with Brack promoting the movies. Like, I got 3 tickets, one for me, my mom, and my dad. So I wonder if that's part of the reason for its failure is they mostly marketed to adults. And adults did like Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah,
There are
you
some
know-
out there, but it's still a niche. It's not like it's hugely popular with adults. It's still a kid show.
Here's the thing though. I just looked this up. It came out July 3rd, 2002. Men in Black 2 came out the same day.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So
Well, can't win them all.
Yeah, it's like Winnie the Pooh being released with Harry Potter. You know what's gonna win and take over.
Yeah.
Which that recent Winnie the Pooh movie, like I say recent, it was like 2011, but
Yeah, it was 11 years ago.
But yeah,
I mean,
it came out.
I do like that movie though.
Yeah.
But yeah, same day as Men in Black 2.
Damn.
Sucks.
Which another like timely comparison. This also came out the same year as Hey Arnold the movie, which similarly bombed.
Oh,
I
well.
will say Powerpuff Girls is much better than the Hey Arnold movie.
Oh God!
Well, keep in mind, Hey Arnold the movie was technically a TV special that they're like, hey, let's release it as a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it just feels like a long episode, whereas this movie at least feels like, okay, this is something that you should see on a big screen. And I honestly wonder with how much like Cartoon Network is trying to like bank on the Powerpuff Girls recently.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Timely
be
news.
Oh yeah. Just to release today as we're recording this, they're rebooting the Powerpuff Girls again.
Yeah, at least Craig's on this time. I'm very sick of reboots and revivals, but at least it has potential to actually be good this time.
Do you guys remember when they were going to make a live action one where they were all really jaded adults?
Yeah, everybody keeps talking about how that pilot just sort of was in the works, and they were like, you know what, fuck it.
Yeah, well, I think they're still doing a pilot, but the thing is, that script that came out is probably going to be like 1,000,000 times more interesting than whatever they regurgitate. Because
it's a
the reason
CW
the reason they were reworking it is because everyone was laughing at it. Everyone was like, "Oh man, this sucks. This is so funny." And so then they're like, "All right, well, let's get rid of all this ridiculous humor stuff." And it's like, no, that's the only reason I would ever want to watch this. Now it's just going to be like boring garbage.
Oh man. So
but I like this movie.
Yeah. So I guess one other question I would like to pose to you guys. As this being the definitive origin for the Powerpuff Girls, do you like it in that context?
I think so. I mean,
I think it's fun.
Yeah. It gives a lot to latch. It turns a story you already knew. It takes it and just adds more to it. So yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah, because they were kind of vague on the very origin of this, how they became the V anyway. So this was definitely a good way to, here are the girls. Here's how they first interacted with everyone. Here's how everyone loved them. And then you go from there.
You know what's something I could have used more of, though? I feel like this movie could have used like maybe a little more at the beginning, saying like why the professor wants to make these girls. Like you kind of get an idea. He's just saying he wants to.
He's a lonely guy. Yeah, he's like a lonely guy, I guess. He just wants someone to, take care of.
Yeah, what's there in the movie works fine, but if I'm nitpicking, I feel like they could have gone a little more into it.
No, I totally agree.
I feel like they could have focused a little more on Mojo a bit too.
Yeah, because like I feel like they don't really get into Mojo's turmoil over the whole thing. Being like thrown out by the professor afterwards. It just kind of goes into him doing this whole evil plan.
Yeah, he's basically not part of the main movie until like after the tag sequence. Anyway.
Yeah, and again, like the professor, what's there is fine. You can kind of grab onto, like context clues to figure out why he's feeling this way, but they never really like show it. But Mojo is very good in this movie. Mojo is a top tier character, great voice acting, great design.
Oh yeah, I think he's great, and I think like just seeing like him have like this almost friendly relationship with them to begin with, even if it's not like completely genuine.
Yeah,
it is really nice to see, and it's almost wholesome at points. But
it's an interesting angle.
Yeah, exactly.
I really like the scene where they're talking to Mojo in the alley, and Mojo's just a silhouette, and the girls are saying they'll help him out, and you just see Mojo's eyes and then his evil grin show up on the silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoy this movie. I think as an addition to the series, I think it's really great. Just to make like the bold choice to like show that like these characters were not just immediately accepted by society, and like to make that story as bleak as it gets sometimes. But then to follow it up with like just like this action sequence that you could see playing out in the show, but like just 10 times more put together. I just think it's great, and I think it's I don't know. I don't know if this is what is considered an underrated film by historical standards now.
I'd say it's underrated in the sense that it bombed in theaters, but I think people generally like it. I don't think it's like, I think people can like see some flaws in it, but I think at least on Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's at like 68 or something, which is respectable enough.
Yeah. It's hard to explain with this movie how it is like that, because it's one of those like, yeah, it's underrated, but you know, not a lot of people really bring it up unless you're like, hey, remember this? They had a movie, and like, oh yeah, they did have a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and people are usually pretty positive about it, so it's hard to really say. But it's the 20th anniversary of the movie. That means it's also the 20th anniversary of the Dexter's Lab short it came with.
Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
The chickenpox one.
Yeah, that one's so weird because it's kind of like a bridge between the original Dexter run and the new stuff, because it's like it's in the same style as the newer shows. Like the designs are more angular and stylized. The backgrounds, the environments are the same way.
Yeah, but you know, because it's a movie short, the animation's like a lot more fluid.
Yeah, and Gendy did direct it, I think. I'm pretty sure he did. But it also has Candy Milo as Dexter at this point. So
was it Candy at that? I thought it was still Christine. Yeah, okay. I have to go back and watch it. Okay.
But it's just a very interesting short because you really can't place it into one category or the other. But I do enjoy it. It is like the animation is really nice and fun. You get some really weird gremlin-y Dexter drawings.
Dee Dee too. Dee Dee's like all over the place.
Yeah, she's weird looking. But it's fun. It's good. I think it's a good short to go with this movie. And it makes me wish we got more Cartoon Network movies, not just for the movies themselves, but thinking about like what shows would also get shorts. Because like Dexter and Powerpuff Girls are kind of companion shows. Yeah. So it makes sense for a Powerpuff Girls movie to have a Dexter's Lab short before it. So it would have been cool. Would have been cool to see what we could have gotten.
I mean, could you imagine, like, I'm just shooting on my ass here, just like, had they turned Ego Trip into like a theatrical film, and then they probably would have had a Powerpuff short in front of it.
Oh, probably, yeah.
That would have been awesome. I just recently watched through Ego Trip as well, and it's real good. I wish it was longer than 44 minutes.
Yeah.
Imagine a Billy and Mandy movie.
Yeah, for theaters, you mean? Because Big Boogie Adventure is pretty good.
Big Boogie Adventure is wonderful.
Like 2 or 3 movies.
Yeah, but imagine a big budget theater movie up on the big screen.
I wish.
But Powerpuff Girls is good for their one and done Cartoon Network theatrical movies.
Yeah.
They were supposed to make an Adventure Time one, but it got canceled.
Oh, well.
I think they just decided that they could just as easily do TV movies or like limited series.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. I think they said their ideas for the movie turned into one of the miniseries they did near the end of the run.
Yeah, I remember when they were like announcing that, oh yeah, we're totally doing an Adventure Time movie. And I'm like, why?
It could have been cool. I would have by that point I was done with Adventure Time, but I still would have seen it in theaters just for the novelty.
Yeah, I couldn't.
I can make sense. Yeah,
sit in a theater for an hour and a half being preached philosophy.
Yeah, I would hope an Adventure Time movie would have the actual adventure part for once,
right? Not just pondering the quandaries of life.
Yeah,
what it means to be alive.
What is this, season 5?
Right. But so I think I think I can speak for all of us as saying that like I feel like this movie is important, at least, and especially to the legacy of the Powerpuff Girls. It not only is it like it gives us that backstory, but it also serves as like that transition period of like Craig on his way out to go make I don't know what he left for.
He did Foster's Home after this.
That's
yeah.
right.
But
I guess he
this-
would have started on that.
I was just saying this movie is also an example of how like a lot of shows tend to go downhill after the movie version, like this and SpongeBob.
Yeah.
They blow their load on the movie and then just can't keep it up afterwards.
I know, it's like the movie is so bombastic and fantastic. It's like, well, okay.
At least the Simpsons had the good graces to make their movie way past their prime, so
You don't have to go see it.
Yeah.
you're not going to be disappointed. You're already disappointed.
Oh yeah, exactly. We had that conversation on the Bob podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the Simpsons movie, I don't think it's very good, but it was still like
Better
I
than
guess
the show
better
at the
than the show
time.
at that. Yeah, exactly. So it's still at least a step up.
Right. Before we start wrapping up, is there anything else you'd like to mention about this movie?
It's got a lot of monkeys in
All the monkeys voiced by Rob Paulson.
it.
Like every single one is him.
Many bear. Well, Kevin Michael Richardson's a few of them.
Yeah,
He's like
those
the
two.
gorilla, the bigger ones.
Yeah, Rocco Sacco.
And Ojo Tango.
Yeah,
And Hacha Cha Cha.
he's my favorite one.
I love all the stupid names the monkeys get. It's just,
They're great.
just gibberish words.
Oh, one last thing I wanted to say. Do you know what Craig McCracken's original idea for the movie poster was?
No.
You know the scene with the pickle cart, and it's like a big detailed Ren and Stimpy painting of the mayor's pickle that he orders.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Craig said he wanted that pickle to be the movie poster.
Just the pickle.
Yeah, I can see why they didn't do that.
I think it would be misleading.
Well,
Oh
I
boy,
mean-
the pickle movie.
the Pickle Puff Girls.
Yeah.
What's all this Powerpuff shit?
Where are the pickles?
Well, I think that if you haven't seen this movie in a while, I think it'd be a good nostalgia trip to go back and watch this. Hell, just go watch the original Powerpuff. It's all on HBO.
Mhm.
Everyone's got HBO Max by this point, I think, or at least you
Movie's
can steal it.
not.
I thought the movie was on HBO.
I don't know if it is. I think it's on the Cartoon Network website.
It's not on HBO Max, and I know because I checked. It's
Lame.
not. It's not streaming on anything
No,
unless
I
it's on.
thought- I
Unless
thought-
it's on
I-
the Cartoon Network site.
I think it's on the Cartoon Network site because they have like a whole section with all their movies on it. I'm about to look.
Weird.
Yeah, I checked like everything I knew, and it wasn't there. But luckily, I have the shitty DVD of it that came out
Yeah. So
in
whether
full
it's,
screen.
whether it's your shitty DVD or finding it through legal
Yeah.
or less than legal means.
It's up there with Big Picture Show and even the shitty reanimated movie they made.
Oh,
Oh,
kick
God.
ass!
But yeah, the movie's on the website on Cartoon Network.
Awesome.
Well,
I'll have
there
to
you
watch
go.
it again.
All right. Well, everybody go do that. But so I think we'll just wrap up here. But everybody, thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed this trip back to yesteryear. And to you, fine gentlemen, I appreciate you being here talking about this very esoteric movie.
Oh sure, I love talking about anything but the movie.
You talked about Aqua Teen,
We
was
just
great.
covered
the
the
Simpsons movie.
whole thing, just everything.
Yeah.
Touch on-
Final words. I love this movie.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it's great. It's lots of fun.
It's a good one. All right, everybody. Thank you all for listening. Be sure to let us know on our socials and our YouTube videos what you think of this movie, if you've seen it, what kind of memories you've got with it. Always glad to hear from you guys. Everyone be safe out there, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. You can find all the links to our social media pages in the episode description. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and join our Discord. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. The Ink and Pink Club is happy to be part of the Geekly Grind Podcast Network. We'll see you next time.